Everyone, thanks for joining our first iteration of having subcommittees outside of the full committee. So great to have you. For those who are new, we have a very long script that I'm going to read, so bear with me. To conduct this meeting wholly electronically and to effectuate both the emergency procedures authorized by FOIA and the emergency ordinance of the Young Adults Advisory Council, further known as the Council, we need to make certain findings and determinations for the record. It's a bit cumbersome, so I asked in advance for your patience. First, because each member of the council is participating in the meeting from a separate location, we must verify that a quorum of members is participating and that each member's voice is clear, audible, and at an appropriate volume for all other members. Accordingly, I'm going to conduct a roll call and ask each council member participating in this meeting to state your name and location from where you're participating. I ask that each of you pay close attention to ensure that you can hear your fellow colleagues. Following this roll call, we will vote to establish that every member can be heard by every other member. So Denver Supinger calling in from Oakton. Sam Niner.
Present. Present from Springfield.
Awesome. Richmond Hill, I do not see on. Natalia Denise Moody. I think she's still on leave. Sarah Bufano.
Present, Fairfax, Virginia.
Awesome. Casey Judge, I think, is still in Prague. Judith Kupla cannot join us. Dini Muhammad is not on. Eddie Sandova.
Here, I'm here representing Summit District.
Awesome. And then Minor Zafar.
Present in Alexandria, Virginia.
Great. And Paul, I know you haven't been official yet, so we'll meet you in a minute. Do we know who this meeting guest is that's joining us?
No, this is a subcommittee working session. We do not have a guest speaker this evening.
No, there's someone logged in as meeting guest. That's
excuse me. I only see Eddie as the guest, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay. Well, if someone is here and they want to make their presence known, they can unmute themselves. Okay. At this point, I will pass the virtual gavel to my fellow council member, Sarah Bufano, so that I can be heard to make a requisite motion. I move that each member's voice may adequately be heard by each other member of the council. Excuse me.
Is there a second?
A second.
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
All right. Second, having established that each member's voice may be heard by every other member, we must next establish the nature of the emergency that compels these emergency procedures, the fact that we are meeting electronically and what type of electronic communication is being used, and how we will have arranged for public access to this meeting. Therefore, I move that the state emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic makes it unsafe for the council to physically assemble and unsafe for the public to physically attend any such meeting, and that as such, FOIA's usual procedures, which require the physical assembly of the council and the physical presence of the public, cannot be implemented safely nor practically. I further move that the council may conduct this meeting electronically through a dedicated video and audio conference line, and that the public may access this meeting by registering through the meeting link on the Young Adults Advisory Council website, which is www.fairfax-economic-initiatives/young-adults-advisory-council-YAA, or by calling 1-571-429-4982 and entering access code 870-645-795#. It is so moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Finally, finally, is required to address that the matters of finally, it is required that all the matters addressed on today's agenda must address the emergency itself, are necessary to continue the Fairfax County government operations and statutorily required or necessary to continue operations and the discharge of the council's lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. It is so moved. All right, you all received a agenda. Are there any edits to the agenda provided? We have not received any public comment, nor any asked to speak. Eddie, you have your hand raised.
To make an exception about the discussing about the Fairfax connector adjustment about the transit strategy. If they encourage about the survey of what they people like about the survey about the our phase 2 silver line, what it would look like for one to adjust the routes and what would be the bus change.
Yeah, you can talk about that in the subcommittee infrastructure subcommittee. Most of the people on this call right now will be going into that space, so we'll definitely talk about it in the meeting. All right, and then I'll pass it over to Jared to introduce someone who hasn't been approved yet, but who will be coming on to our team. If you want to introduce Paul.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Denver. Yeah, so Paul Steiner, and I'll give the floor to him in just 1 second. He is the he will officially be confirmed by the board, I believe, May 24th. So, you know, a little over a month, but because it is a public meeting, he's was gracious enough to come join us this evening, and he works with FCPS specifically with the adult and community education, and we have another fun acronym, ACE. So I'll kind of hand the floor over to Paul to, you know, say hi and, you know, speak a little bit about what he does, you know, with FCPS and ACE.
Hello, it's nice to meet everybody, and thank you for the time. My name is Paul Steiner. I'm the administrator for adult and community education for Fairfax. And I'm passionate about workforce development, and that's really kind of what I do in this role. We offer courses on skilled trades apprenticeship, business and IT career pathways, and health and medical career pathways, as well as other courses that are just kind of general, general courses for enrichment and for career seekers just to upskill everyone. So we are dedicated to really helping the workforce. We also have driver's education. That's one of our largest areas of business, which is also very important in this area. So, thank you again for the time, and I appreciate the opportunity to be part of this committee.
Awesome. We're happy to have you. So we are missing the vast majority of our TOE group, our Talent Outreach and Engagement Subcommittee. So Sarah is the proxy chair for PIT, and if you are fine, we will all be joining your meeting.
Yeah, sounds like a pit party, which is the worst.
Wonderful. And then our council got invited to participate in the Hindu community. They have a few events coming up, one at Eagle View Elementary on the 7th, and another at the community center in South Riding, which technically is outside the county, but that's on the 14th. It's a way to engage with the community and provide opportunities to deepen our awareness of the Hindu culture and its contribution to society. So both your chair, me, and your vice chair, Sarah, are unable to attend. So if anyone wants to go, please let us know. I'm sure Jarrett will send out the information. I'm sure it's just like a great way to understand the Hindu community as well. So if you have the time, I definitely think it's a good use of it. All right. Any questions before we go into PIT? Well, I guess we don't have to go anywhere. I guess we all stay here. So.
Yeah, we don't have to utilize the break rooms.
Perfect. All right, with that being said, Sarah, I will yield the floor to you and let you chair the subcommittee, and you have other folks who are willing to hop on. And if you don't take the full hour, do not feel bad for not taking the full hour.
Thanks. I just want to go and grab some of the notes from last time so we're all on the same page. So these are the notes from last time. I'm just going to put them in the chat, especially for the people not from the committee. And I was unable to attend the last one, but my understanding is that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that we had a conversation on what our main goals are, but we had not yet turned that into any kind of work plan, if you will, on how we're going to achieve those goals. For example, these are like the 2 outcomes we want in the next, 6 months, year, and we're going to want speakers on A, B, and C. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll actually, Maynor, I'll yield to you, just because I know you were in that meeting last week or last month.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems to be an accurate description of where we're at.
Cool. Well, then I was thinking that we can spend this time to take those notes. We can also obviously go off, we don't have to stick to the notes, but those were the notes that you all came up with last time. So we could start those notes and start to break them out into, okay, what is it that we actually want to create or establish, and what are some of the questions or areas we're going to need to know for each, and that way we can use that as a tool to figure out what speakers we need. Does that sound like a good plan to everyone, or is there anything else that you all discussed last time that or any other ideas that of how to proceed?
I think that sounds great. And as we're building out and making goals, also looking, as always, at deliverables. Are we doing research? Are we having speakers? Are we doing testimony? Are we collaborating with other folks? But that goes for all or both our subcommittees. So
cool. Okay. Well, anyone else have anything else they want to add? And apologies, I know I don't have the greatest internet, so if people are like nodding their heads or anything, I'm sorry, I'm not able to see a lot of videos on my end, unfortunately. So please just chime in.
I do have one question. It would be regarding with like going up to the board of supervisors, being able to just communicate with them. Would we be able to have like a speaker of or someone who could like represent the economic initiatives part and just be able to tell the board of supervisors like this is what is happening, like a brief or a summary to get them on a transparent type of note?
Yeah, so just to clarify, so I'm looking at the notes from last time, and I don't see anything specific to economic. So can you clarify what you mean?
What I mean by that is Department of Economic Initiatives and let me clarify, it was like Department of Economic Initiatives of our department to have them be more informed, have them be more involved with what we do.
Sam, some understanding.
Oh, I'm sorry, what's that?
I personally still don't understand what you're trying to propose.
Just to clarify, so I work obviously, as you can see, for the Department of Economic Initiatives, but this council is a separate entity. I'm basically just providing county staff support. So, you know, certainly a lot of our stuff aligns and everything and all that. But as far as, you know, this BAC, this council is, you know, it's a product of the board to provide recommendations and guidance based on, you know, the demographic of, you know, young adults living in Fairfax County. But, you know, it doesn't really have specifically to do with the DEI within my department.
Oh, okay. So it is the council, but I was just wondering, like, if we were able to, like, be able to have someone like a speaker go to the board of supervisors, inform them of what our council does. Like,
Sam, they know what they do. They set our charge. The board of supervisors know what we do, and our way of communicating with
Right.
them is through formal letter or testimony.
Gotcha.
Through like us
Yeah.
So, I mean, if there's a certain issue that, you know, you feel like needs to be brought to the board's attention, please, like, it would be great, you know, to give us a summary, write a letter, and then the board would have to, you know, review it and approve it in order for it to be signed from the board, which is like, you know, it just a quick kind of 5-minute exercise in a meeting. It's not really like a big, you know, process or anything. But yeah, I mean, if there's something that you think that the board needs to be aware of that, you know, young adults are experiencing or feeling or want, then yeah, a formal letter would be the way to go. And we've got on our website some posted that we've done before. So if you want to take a look to see, like, you know, I know formal letter might sound intimidating. It's not really that. It's not. It's pretty simple. It's just literally a letter. That might help.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just wondering, like, if we were able to, like, I don't know, have a discussion, like one of our board of supervisors comes in the meeting and we're able to, like, have them come in. If I was like have them as like a spectator, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, they're always invited to come to any council or BAC meeting of any organization, so that invite is always there. So you just want them to be in the room. I'm not understanding the agenda, the overall result of your request, Sam. You just want them to just take the space, or you want us to just increase our communication? What are you trying to get at?
Increase our communication.
Okay, so I know we proposed, oh, Sarah, I'm sorry I'm taking this, but I know we proposed like doing a summary and like a short letter after each speaker of our major meetings, which we haven't had yet. So that's definitely going to be something that we do. But within our individual subcommittees rather, that's when the white papers, research, and letters and testimony come in. So they know what we're doing. It's definitely not happening in a vacuum.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, I totally agree, Sam. Like, I think we all would like to have more communication to the board, and that's why we're going through this session right now as a subcommittee. And apologies because I wasn't at the previous one. I actually don't know off the top of my head who is in the pit versus the toe. Those are terrible, guys. Can we just say that? That's just terrible. So you know, so I'm not sure if you're in the pit or not, but no matter which subcommittee you're in, the point of this session is to get a bit more concrete on, like, what is it we're going to produce, because we can't just say, oh, we're going to write a letter about transportation. Transportation means 20 million things with 20 million different people. So, you know, let's get a little bit more narrow in what it is that we want to do over the course of the next, you know, I guess really end of the year at this stage, which is, you know, coming quick actually. And that way we will be able to produce those documents, whether it be a letter, a white paper, a report, etc., and send those to the board to have that communication.
Thank you. Yep.
Cool. Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments, ideas? Okay, let's hop to it then. Okay, so what I've got here from the notes is that the first thing was transportation. And I've got that from the notes, focus on transit services and funding levels and support for users and accessibility. So I think what would be helpful is if we were to go into each sub bullet. So like, let's start with focus on transit services. You know, what is a quick summary of what is it we're trying to get out of here? You know, is the idea that we're trying to increase transit services or, you know, connectivity of transit services? What is it that we want with the Fairfax connector and phase 2 of the Silver Line? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Slow down, people. Don't all speak up at once.
I definitely think that's an Eddie question, right? That's his point of passion. So Eddie, do you have direct responses to that?
Yeah, I think
yes.
you mentioned like the Fairfax connector, for instance.
Yes, the Fairfax connector. I mentioned it because this is important about it, because a few months ago they hosted a town meeting about the virtual meeting about the Silver Line Phase 2, about what's going to happen when Silver Line opens and what does this mean for just the Fairfax connector bus change throughout the community. There will be a ton of changes throughout the buses or adding new routes throughout the community.
So just so I'm clear, Eddie, what you're saying is that you want us to, you believe that young adults want to increase the connectivity, the routes, and the frequency of transit services. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I want, because I'm here to advocate for those people who hardworking people who who take the train, who works to take the train, and who goes to any destination, like non-essential workers, to the hospital, airport people, and government workers from DC, to help them to get to public transportation. I'm speaking on behalf of those people.
Yeah,
I'm advocating.
I definitely agree with you. Sorry. Okay. Anyone else have any other thoughts on what is it that we believe that young adults in Fairfax County want when it comes to these transit services?
Well, I would, just emphasize that educational access, not having seen the current plan, I just think that access to, George Mason, Northern Virginia Community College, and, other opportunities like adult and community education. We have adult learning centers in, we operate in 10 high schools throughout Fairfax County and 2 adult learning centers, soon to be 3. So those are all things just we want to make sure that those are included in the plans, because I think a lot of our target audience for the courses we offer, a large majority of them are bus riders, especially those younger students from my programs and the adult high school for Fairfax County.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I love that. That's great. Okay. All right. I also want to add not just frequency, connectivity, and route to public transit, but also like the hours availability. I know, for example, the bus near me only goes to the metro during peak hours, Monday to Friday, which makes it hard, especially if you work late or want to do other things, and that can be a real barrier. I see Menor. Am I pronouncing Menor? Is that correct?
Menor's fine. Yeah. Sorry, I was gonna say, along those lines, I think it is important to keep in mind continued affordability of public transportation.
Thank you. And feel free to just chime in. You don't need to raise your hand. It's so I'm taking notes at the same time, so I'm sorry if I'm overlooking some hand raises. So please just feel free to chime in, because I don't mean to overlook any.
About the metro with the transportation, I was wondering, like, do college students have the opportunity to get a discount while riding metro using the system?
I think that there's a thing called UPass, but I only know vaguely about it because of my grad school program. But I think that there is, but I think there's like requirements. Like, I don't know if part-time
It's up to the
students get it.
schools to decide if they want to have that for their students.
Hmm.
So GW recently got that, and AU has that, and I know George Mason does not.
George- I think we should expand the UPass. I think we should have it to all nearby colleges, specifically
I
within the
don't
county.
think. Sorry to interrupt. I don't think that's something we control, because it is, again, the universities that decide.
But do we have I mean, but we have the ability to offer the passes if the universities request. I was hoping maybe there would be a more outreach to passes, because this majorly affects George Mason students, I would assume, because they are within the county, and discounts are very helpful because of college students, specifically with debt and not enough money to provide for themselves to be self-sufficient. And I was just wondering, like, maybe there's different opportunities that, like, there's a bigger outreach so they could have more insight on, okay, well, George Mason doesn't have it yet, but if George Mason sees this opportunity, or maybe we have an event or something that they can just provide to the college students without having that barrier of, oh shoot, George Mason doesn't provide that, I'm screwed. So maybe they give that specifically, oh, you're a college student, you're good because you have an ID.
So definitely something we can look into. Transportation related costs are based out of the Mason budget and state budget, in which the county doesn't really interface with. Fairfax GMU does have a partnership with the Q in the city of Fairfax, which goes to the Vienna stop for the metro. So that's within it. We cannot control any metro solicitations because that's through MWA, the Metropolitan Washington Authority, whatever it is, and WMATA, who runs the metro. So Fairfax GMU students do have access to the Q, the city bus, which goes to the metro. But since they are ones in the city and not in the county, and two a private public institution, but higher ed, there's not too much in which the county can do other than offer vouchers if the school is willing to put that within their budget.
It's up to the universities at the end of the day.
Yes.
I see. I gotcha. Thank you.
But we do have a high school program, which varies from school to school and who they issue to, which I think was already noted.
Yes.
Cool. Great. Thanks. Okay. So just to summarize what I've got so far, so transportation, focus on transit services. And what we mean by that is we've got 3 sub bullets. 1, increase frequency, connectivity, hours availability, and routes of public transit. 2, increase access through transit to education, such as George Mason, adult learning centers, and ensure this is included in the county's plans. And then 3, the continued affordability of public transit. Is that correct, or anything that anyone else wants to add? Cool. Okay, so then so before we go on to what questions, no, let's go to questions. So We've got those 3 things as our goal. Are there any questions that we would need answered? Think, speakers we would need to come in order for us to get the information we need to be able to do something to work towards these goals.
Maybe we could invite someone from George Mason University to be a speaker to see what they have as for their opinion with getting George Mason students bus passes and accessibility to the public transit system.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the downside to that is it's very focused only on George Mason as opposed to, young adults in Fairfax County overall. And would bus passes, I had thought then, and I'm not familiar with, this is not my area of expertise. So, am I correct though that we were saying that bus passes are not organized by the county? Is that right?
I believe so because they're from Metro, but I think they are Fairfax County connector buses that are run by the county.
Okay, you're talking about the Fairfax County connector buses, not, okay. Because I don't think that the Metro isn't county run, right? The Metro is like DC, Maryland, and Virginia state run, right?
Yeah. So just to jump in, I think what we need information from subject matter experts on public transportation in the greater Fairfax region. I primarily drive in Fairfax. And so my knowledge of the bus system, the metro system is limited. And to help kind of make the connections where like we have bus service, there's maybe a site that is offering like adult ESOL classes and there's not service there, or if there's something that one of us could identify, I think hearing from a subject matter expert is going to help this committee make those connections. And so I think that would be the first person, and I'd want to hear from. And I'm hoping it's maybe 1 or 2 people, and not like like a baseball lineup of people from different agencies.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Paul. And just to add on that, and something I was thinking about that you've got me thinking about too, because yes, I definitely drive in Fairfax County, but one of the things that I'm concerned about, and I know we've talked about as a group before, is that, Fairfax County is growing really fast, and Fairfax County 20 years from now, maybe shouldn't be as reliant on cars as it is now. Given that it's not, there'll be more people, it might not be so sustainable. So I think just to add to that, I would be interested to know, from experts, what is the future vision for like, what will Fairfax County look like in 20 years, like in terms of people? And then how does that compare with the current public transportation network and the currently, planned in progress transportation network? Like what gap exists for Fairfax 20 years from now in public transit? And what's being done about it.
Yeah, folks, these are all fantastic points, and it's transportation. It's very just between WMATA or WMATA, whatever, VDOT, FCDOT, and just trying to tie all those different, gigantic, organizations together. And just the difference between what I could certainly do is reach out to somebody from FCDOT, and then they could kind of come on and clarify a lot of, the questions that we have. And so for instance, like I was in a meeting today and we were talking about, and Sam, you might, be well aware of this, but, just because there's, kind of a lot of inequity for other areas in the county, for instance, the Mount Vernon district, where, down in like Lorton, where there really isn't much if any, public transportation.
Right,
So there are a
right.
lot of, and then, yeah, Sarah, you talk about the future. And I know just going through traffic studies for a lot of projects, you have to do a study for 2040, because obviously we're planning ahead. And obviously we're talking about, we had a couple months ago, one of my colleagues talking about the autonomous vehicles, and that, being a part of it as well. So it's definitely a complicated matter. So I'd like to try to talk to somebody that could come on and kind of put it in layman's, kind of try to tie it all together as best possible. I think that'd be my suggestion.
That sounds great. And just to kind of, I'm conscious of time, and I do want to end on time today. If not earlier, but I don't think that's likely because we've got a lot of work to do. I want to just move to the next bullet under transportation. So we've got focus on transit services, and then funding levels and support for users and accessibility. And I realize we're kind of starting to like bleed the two. So if everyone's okay, I'm gonna put them in the same bucket, and kind of just treat them as us kind of exploring the same areas. And I think given the conversation we've had and the fact that funding levels is one, I think hearing from an expert on how public transit is funded would also be helpful. Does anyone have any comments, disagreements, thoughts on those two suggestions, or is everyone okay with me doing that?
All good.
Cool.
I agree.
Awesome. Anyone else, any other comments or
Yeah, I have one. So speaking of the Route 1 corridor, I know there's a project happening, and long-term future, as you mentioned, the bus rapid transit that they're proposing. Maybe that could be one thing that we can zero in on and provide our feedback on.
Sounds good. Just added it as another one next to Fairfax Connector and the phase 2 of the Silver Line.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but was it January or maybe December where somebody came on and talked about the BRT from the county, possibly?
Yep, that's the autonomous one, is that right?
No, the BRT, the bus rapid transit, but I could be wrong.
Yes, where they had their own lines, right? Or if not, they were thinking of having their own lines or something.
Yeah, that's exact. Yeah, they're working on it, potential implementation, exactly.
Yeah, I remember that. Cool. Okay,
Oh.
so I feel like we've done pretty good at transit. So the last thing that I think we need to tackle. Oh, Eddie, do you want to go ahead?
Before that, thank you for before we move to the next part. Real quick question: when will a Silver Line Phase 2 train will open? Because it's been 5 years since it's not open. Me too. I have no idea.
That's the $1 million question.
I remember hearing a report that they're on schedule, and they're pretty optimistic at this point, which for a project of this scale, I think it's not a common thing. But I've heard sooner than expected, maybe.
I just Googled and people are saying summer 2022. So we'll see about that. Cool. So just on transportation before we move on to affordable housing. So we've said focus on transit services, funding levels, support for users' accessibility. We've talked about, wanting to increase the frequency, connectivity, hours, routes, public transit, being able for people to access education through transit, affordability. What is our goal in this area? What do we want to, when this year is over, what do we want to have produced based on, you know, this research, hearing these speakers, delving into these topics. Why don't we?
If I can offer up, maybe a short-term or immediate goal is find ways to increase access. What I mean by that is adjusting a route or doing something that we can make sure that people that need public transportation can access public transportation. That's a short term. A long term would be increasing viability of public transportation for more Fairfax County residents. And that is, and what I mean by that is a larger section of the population would say, oh, I can use a bus because the bus is now a more convenient option, right? You know, a bus comes, you know, I know we can't have buses come every 15 minutes, but having them come more frequently, a whole host of things just to make it more viable for a larger population of Fairfax County residents.
Oh, that's great. I like that. Just to clarify though, what I'm trying to understand is, you know, does the subcommittee want to produce like a white paper? Is this a letter to the board? You know, do we want to go for a more policy outcome, kind of, you know, like Paul's examples? That could be, you know, instead of producing a white paper or a letter, we could have a policy goal to achieve at the end of the year, maybe through multiple letters and white papers and, you know, conversations with the board or something. Is there and I'm giving out examples, but please, you know, feel free to think out of the box or something else. Is there anything that we think as a board at the end of the year we should, like, how do we want to, what do we want the result of all of this research and deep diving into these questions to be? How should we, what do we want to have?
I think a white paper is a realistic goal. You know, perhaps we will find something, like we'll find a need somewhere, and producing a white paper on that would then lead to, our next step would be increasing awareness of this, and then third step would be having some policy put in place to address the need.
I had a little something different in mind. I think from some of the conversations we've already heard, there are a lot of public transit options happening in the county. And looking into those and giving our recommendations to, or a letter to the board would be a goal I would have in mind.
Okay, I'm hearing, okay, I'm writing all of these down. Anyone else?
Well, I do have one more thing to add. It would be having a more easy access to adults who don't have the opportunity to have their voices heard necessarily when it comes to transportation. So maybe like we have someone who we could talk to like host events, like an event coordinator, to be able to give out people's opinions, so we can have a more thorough idea of what the county in total of young adults wants to hear feedback with the transportation.
Okay. And Sam, remind me, are you in the outreach subcommittee or are you in the public?
Education.
Okay, all right, because that very much sounds like an outreach subcommittee idea. So
I mean,
think
it's out there. I just wanted to say it because it's out there, but like.
No, I like it. I like it. Think outside the box. Let's blend the two subcommittees. We're all working for the same goal, right?
Correct.
So
For the people.
Yep. Any other ideas, suggestions? We're gonna have to come to an agreement at the end, by the way. So I'm just gathering ideas and suggestions, and then we can vote.
The affordable. Hello.
Hello? Yep, we can hear you, Eddie.
Well, what do you think adjustment about the, affordable housing needs to be affordable because I heard the rent's expensive. It'll make it hard for difficult folks from low-income families. So how we're gonna make it more affordable by living in Fairfax County.
Yep, completely agree. And once we finish transportation, we're gonna move on to doing the same kind of action ideas for affordable housing. So why don't we take a vote right now? So we've got 3 different ideas. We could do more than one. So we'll let's see now. How do I do the conversation? Okay, so we'll do policy goals, 2 white paper, and 3 letters to the board on transit policies in progress, and 4 more than one. Okay, so I just put in the chat, we're going to do a vote. We'll first vote on, and you can only vote for one. We'll first do a vote on who wants to have policy goals. So at the end of the year, we will, adjust a route or increase access or have something be changed to make public transit more available. Option 2 is a white paper. Option 3 is letters to the board on transit policies in progress, providing assessments and recommendations based on that. And then option 4 is more than one. We should do more than one of just these 3, and we can figure out what that is, should that one win. So option 1, please, I guess, say aye or raise your hand if you want the policy goal 1.
Aye.
Okay, that's 1 vote. Anyone else wanted to vote for that, or? Okay. All right, option 2 is white paper. Oh, and maybe I should clarify. I kind of feel like only people that are committee members for PIT should vote, because I'm just conscious that we're going to be the ones that are doing the work. So I just want to make sure that the people that are in the subcommittee and going to be responsible for producing this outcome are the ones that make that decision. So apologies, I just thought of that because I know that we're all together right now. So 2, white paper. Who wants to vote for the white paper? Please say aye or raise your hand now. Okay, that would be 0 votes. Next is 3, letters to the board assessing transit policies in progress. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Okay, I think that's 3 votes. Eddie, Manor, and myself. Did I miss anyone? Sorry, my computer's being weird. Not letting
We
me
can
read the
count
chat.
Denver on there too, right? You're a floater.
And then last but not least is 4, doing more than one. Does anyone, oh, sorry guys, it's not letting me read the chat. It's got like this box that won't go away. Yeah, so 4, anyone want to put their hand up or say aye for 4?
Sarah, I put it in the chat, but I would be here for policy and letters. But yeah, Sam and I are not in this committee.
Yeah, and I think Paul is also going to be on the other committee as well. So, okay, sounds good. Well, it sounds like for now, option 3 won. I'll just write this down. So the goal for 2021 is to write letters to the board. Let's give ourselves a numerical goal, because in my line of work, we're all about setting more clear targets. So we said letters. That's not clear enough. Shall we say, okay, Denver's got 2. I was going to say 3. What are the thoughts? Can we put in, can people put in what number they think is reasonable into the chat, please, even though I can't read the chat? Okay, I'm thinking 3.
Maybe you can just clarify really quick. Do you mean like 2 or 3 letters pertinent to this topic, or do you mean just as a committee, subcommittee, in as a whole, like for the whole year?
I mean, for the whole year, for the subcommittee, for only this transportation topic.
Perfect.
All right. Okay, can someone tell me what the other comment is? Because, oh wait, maybe.
2 is winning. 2 is your answer.
Okay.
We can say we can say 2, at least 2. So, you know, if we get to 3, that's great too.
Love that attitude. Let's do it. Okay. All right. Done. Excellent. Okay. Now, am conscious of time. So we're probably not going to have a chance to do as much of a deep dive in affordable housing. But I know that from the last time, one of the outcomes was for Casey to draft a letter on behalf of the subcommittee. Do we remember what that letter was on? Or is there still, are there other areas that we want to talk about related to affordable housing then that maybe isn't?
That letter was on the saying thank you and do more on the board's decision to add another $150,000 affordable units to their plan, I believe. I might have the number wrong, but they agreed to up. It might have been 10,000. Actually, 10,000 sounds better. That's whatever. They're adding to their goal because they've already surpassed it. So she was going to send a letter of gratitude and request for further activism.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you for clarifying. Okay. Well, with 4 minutes left, we will just get started and then we'll stop when it's time to stop. So we've got first-time homebuyer items, missing middle and starter homes, manufactured housing task force, and perhaps strategic plan and new Board of Supervisors stated goal. I do feel like these are a little bit more specific than what we had for transportation. So does anyone have anything else that they want to add or any other way that they want to specify these? Because if not, I'm going to say let's just go straight to the speaker brainstorm instead. Okay, speaker brainstorm. What are the questions that we have that we think experts could help us answer? I'm really interested in the missing middle and starter home. So I'd love to have a better understanding of you know, what is going on there, and also how has this been done effectively without, you know, eroding the more affordable housing area. You know, you want both to be looked at equally. You don't want it to be an or. Does anyone else have any other questions or things that they would like to get answered based on affordable housing in these subtopics? Oop, a new message. Okay. Perfect. Thanks, Paul. And please, everyone can speak up. So the whole voting I thought was just best for subcommittee members, but don't feel like you need to not speak just because you're not on the subcommittee right now. I just want to clarify that. Is there anything else that people would like to hear from experts on regarding affordable housing?
I would honestly like more of a deep dive in the first-time home buyer program that we currently have. And then we should be able to learn how to expand that or have more questions on how to expand that. I feel like that'd be a good direction to get started in.
Thank you. Any others? Okay. Well, I'm conscious of time. I think we have made good progress. We're, you know, I'll chat about it with Casey. I think, you know, we still need to go through a few of the other things that, you know, we came up with in the last subcommittee meeting and finish off what is it that we want the outcome to be for affordable housing. You know, do we want to write letters to the board, white paper, et cetera? You know, same question as transportation. But I think this was yeah, I think this was, hopefully everybody thinks that this was a great way to get a bit more clarity on what this year will look like for our subcommittee. So any questions, comments, thoughts before we end?
What's next?
Well, we'll have another meeting next month where I think we will aim to finish this exercise in the subcommittee meeting, and then we'll have the main meeting as well.
Just as a reminder, it's May 19th, and then right after this meeting, I'll go ahead and send out the calendar invite. But everybody should have the meeting schedule for this year.
Thanks, Derek. That's great. Any other questions or comments? Cool. Thanks. Denver, do I hand it back to you to close us off, or do we just say goodbye and
We're adjourned. That's it. We're done.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Have a great
good
night,
weekend,
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul.
Hey, Jarrett.
Thank you. Have a nice day.